Now, I want to apologize in advance. I was able to get 90% of these cards into their proper portrait mode, but some were just too big and required a landscape mode. So, right now, I'll suggest that you go into your device settings and lock rotation so that you can turn your device to see it in landscape mode and not have the whole goddamn thing trip out on you because phones are also slightly retarded. Now, the light green cards are our meta cards that help us to design and deploy our intervention and organize our organizational games. Now, in order to organize your possibility space of all organizational games, I suggest that you make a game inventory and that you map each card onto yonder ecocycle. Cards that you've never seen before, that you don't have the first clue about, go in the seed phase. Cards that you have seen before but don't really know how to use go into the sprout phase. And cards that you have used before and know how to use go into the space of maturity. While cards that you are very proficient at and have and can explain at a drop of a hat go into the creative destruction phase of compost. Now, as you progress along, watch out for these particular traps. If you find yourself in an area where you don't have any good examples of nerds playing good organizational games, well, fuck right off and go find some. If you find yourself making afraid to make mistakes, you're going to find it very challenging to get from birth to maturity. And if you find yourself not being an example and sharing your knowledge with the community, you may find yourself very, very challenging to move into the later phases of development. Oh, and did I say phases of development? You damn right I did. Did you know that Liberating Structure's learning journey has a growth hierarchy? There are four phases of development in the Liberating Structure's learning journey. The first phase uh, is the despairing cynic. When you don't know any cards, you may wonder, how does structure liberate? And you might find yourself plagued by tiny monsters of, "I'll look foolish if you do try to use one of these cards." If you've got 10 cards into this phase of no or maturity, you would find yourself as a cautious optimist. And you can find your growth will be empowered by answering this question of who else wants to play. But you may be plagued with these tiny monsters yet again of this will not work. Once you've got 25 cards into no maturity, you can find your growth or is described as a rapturous super user. You'll be quite dangerous. But you can find that you can grow even more if outside of your own local context, you start to explore where else could these things work. But beware of the tiny monster that is the fear that will just snap back to the old ways of doing and being. Now, once you've got more or less all these cards in this mature space of no, we would call you a maestro minimalist. Now, even this phase of Jedi can find that their development can continue by asking and answering the question of who wants to be an organizational game designer. By sharing and spreading the knowledge of your skills and experience, you might find yourself, though, confronted with this fear of, well, I'm just not needed anymore. Well, is that true? Well, I hope you find out, nerds. I hope you find out sometime soon.